It's super hot in the car, so I put up shades, so I do look a little different. Apologies about that. Uh, I am going to be talking about another fandom. I I technically got one huge one, and then a couple more. One, two, three, four, and I think the rest just goes into the huge one. Five. Not bad. Five fandom related stuff ones left. And um this the one I'm currently looking at, I'm realizing as I'm going through this is my last my teenage year phase. That's so weird to think about. Cause most of the stuff I watched was YouTube, and then I would watch shows here and there, and then would have YouTubers I watched talking about those shows or about other unrelated stuff, and because of that, I never really got hardcore into multiple different shows. Um, this one is The Adventures of Chat Noir and Ladybug. But as in the fandom, because we all kind of know Ladybug's the main character, and so we kind of just called it The Adventures of not uh, not The Adventures of Ladybug, I guess, but sometimes it was also just Ladybug. And getting ahead of myself. I had a friend online, one of my friends from online that I loved talking to, and only got they're from another country, and they were talking excitement about this new show, and no one else really grabbed onto it, but I was close. I was the one that introduced him to brought him into my friend group, was excited about whatever they were excited about, because we both found each other through something. It wasn't me saw a person like them and then tried bonding with them. And it was the Hitalia one. I bonded with the other friend through Hitalia, but in this one, recommended The Adventures of Ladybug and Cat Noir, and some features may be limited. Okay, noted. My phone's about to die soon. And I watched it, and at first I thought it was super cheesy because it is. It is really cheesy. But I as I continued watching it for the sake of my friend, by the end of the season I loved it. I loved it so much. It had issues, and partway through I put on rose tinted glasses and saw past it all and saw just so much potential. Romance plot. I was rooting for Chat Noir and Marinette because if they became friends and then gained crush on each other through the friendship, but still had a massive crush on the other versions of themselves of the other version, I thought that would have been fun. It would have been very interesting, but uh, it had so much potential in my eyes, and frankly, everyone's eyes that watched the show. We and then see. How do I phrase this? We knew the obvious romance plot was important to the series, and it was also very So we were excited. We were excited about it because it was a whole dynamic of two superheroes. One has a crush on the superhero, and then their civilian forms, and the other civilian has a crush on the other. And I'm not sure if it's a unique dynamic, but it felt new. And again, potential. You could do so much with it. It's literally of like a system of technically four people, but it's really just the two of them that aren't able to properly communicate either their feelings or they can't share their identities with each other, and because of that they can't get together, but they both love each other and or had severe crush. Really, they're I found out later that they're literally kids. I thought that they were like in their like later teens. No, that wasn't the case. But I was rooting for them, and um season 2. Sorry. I feel like I wrote so little notes and I have so many ideas, so I have ideas conflicting with each other. I also love the fandom wise because people were very creative and it was very loose with its story, kind of like Ruby, that you could just do so much and go ham with it. And I absolutely loved it, especially the stuff with uh, Adrian having a tough backstory and his tough living situation, and it was also clear as day who Hawkmoth was, but it was still considered to be in theory territory, so we were all excited about that. And then season 2 came out, the reveal happened, we were all stoked. Now we had another layer of Adrian being a superhero, but his dad being a supervillain. I should have said spoilers. I'm gonna tell you right here. It gets you hyped up in the season 1. Season 2 and season 3, well actually more season 2 more particularly, it gets your hopes up and then it starts like dipping down and then really faltering. I'm giving you a heads up because you may be like, "Hey, spoilers." If you're gonna watch something, please know firsthand you will be crushed with your like because you'll be optimistic about it and then you get crushed. This is also the same frame with the Ruby stuff that I was referring to of just I had shows I loved and movies I loved failing me, or like continuations just failing me. So this is also in that phase of just I'm starting to become pessimistic with everything because season 2 was so good. They had a whole character development growth with Chloe, and we thought that we were going to see good like big change in her. And she was starting and they were starting to have most of the main cast become like heroes, but not like hardcore like the main two, but they were going to be like when they were needed we could have like an Avengers Assemble session. And I I thought it was cool. And it very much felt like, also I'm saying Avengers Assemble because this is close to the time frame that Avengers is going on. I also love that series. The only big one that stuck out to me was the Avengers first movie that stuck home with me, and this series before that. Otherwise, I kind of like dropped the movies and then came back during the big cultural phenomenon. But there's other people that talked about that, so I'm not talking about it here because it's more of a cultural thing than I could talk about it. Anyways, the ideas were fantastic. It should have been great. It should have been a case of Chloe redeems herself. We get to see more of Lilia showing a case of you can't always just you can't always redeem people through Leah, but through Chloe, it is possible. It has to be a case where they want to change and they get inspired to change themselves. That was, it could have been so cool. And then the main guy that created the series, remember in the Ruby episode, it was a case of the story got hijacked by people that didn't originally created it and fumbled the series. In this case, we just had a terror, like this dude created basically a fan fiction in his head of the life that he should have had with his imaginary wife. Well, that was a real person, and this imaginary daughter that she could do no wrong. Because that's what Marinette was. She was a Mary Sue. And I don't throw that term around lightly, but if you watch the show, you'll realize she just gets away with everything. She could get away with murder, and probably the show would still try to paint her in a good light. I swear. She felt like they were trying to paint Chloe out as a bad guy, and slowly it turned into Marinette was also worse than Chloe. But then they also had to drag down Chloe so that because of the ego of this guy that created the series. And I get wanting to create a character out of spite, but this dude literally was trying to create fan fiction of real people and basically like it's like him playing with dolls and being like, well, Stacy over here ruined my life as my bully, so now she's a bad guy and I had to put her down. And this is supposed to be my daughter. She could do no wrong. She could do no wrong. It felt as I'm saying it, it feels like a 12 or 14-year-old kid that barely realized that they could go to this outlet to talk about their issues, but somehow it got made into an actual like legitimate show that people were excited for. And because of it, he ruined it because there's actually normal people that aren't in his like imagination, aren't in his bubble of woe is me, going, dude, what? And by the time that he got pulled out and all that, it was too late. The characters got ruined. From Chat Noir, who is my favorite with the most potential for a story, and then Nino and Alia in the case of showing what a good couple looks like, and Alia being a case of she clearly has flaws, but we could still work on her character. Because in the beginning, she was very much a ride or die for Marinette, which became an issue when Marinette was showing clear cases of issues, and she never properly addressed the actual issues. It was like, okay, all right, yeah. It very much felt like teenagers that have clear issues that need to get worked through, but still, it could still be done. Very reasonable stuff. After season 3, I dropped the series, and I watched people that analyzed it, and I had so much more fun watching. Like, I still find people that talk about it to this day, and it's so much more fun when they talk about it than it was with Ruby, because with Ruby, it's very much a case of just the, like, anime, everything started to falter. Whereas, it's so clear that it felt like a dude that was stuck in a 14-year-old's mind, trauma dumping, that he, but still was making like a business out of it, that we're able to point at it and laugh. So I still, to this day, watch people that hate talk on it. And even then, I listen to them, I'm like, dude, maybe you should stop. I care more about your health than the show at this point. And it's funny watching how terrible it is, yes, but also, I feel your vitriol. But sometimes you just gotta let things go. I put down here stickers, but honestly, at this point in the series, I'm not even gonna bring up the stickers unless it's like so far in that you can see all the stuff already that I've talked about. So I'm not even gonna touch on that. The series had potential. It failed. It faltered. That's really all there is to it. And I also created in my, like, I have a story out of spite of basically just a better version of it. But I didn't finish it, and I started losing momentum for it, so it just got shoved in the closet. But it's still a story I would like to work on, so if someone's interested in the future and I go into that arc, I'd love to try to rewrite it or share my story. But that's, to me, I feel like that's not as needed. There's a lot of people that are good writers that love the show and picked up on it and create their own good stories, so I'm not too worried about my own, you know? Well, I am going to let you go. If you liked the video, please like the video. It helps me feel better about myself. And if you have any comments, like if you're a part of if you are part of the fandom, if there's any fanfics that you recommend to me, I would love for you to drop them in the comments. If you like hearing me talk about stuff that had a connection with me, I'd also appreciate it. I'll let you go. Bye.